Alright, what's up everyone? Welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about something that I get a ton of questions on, and that is, when do I compound versus when do I polish when you're trying to get your car looking its best? Well, the quick and simple answer to that is use polish, and if it's not getting out what you need it to get out, go to a compound. Now, another important part when you're trying to decide, hey, compound or polish, do I need to do both, whatever else, is really having an idea of what you want the end result to be. If you're going for that perfect paint, full-blown paint correction, 99.999% of the time, you're gonna go compound, if not even going deeper into color sanding and all that kind of stuff. If you're just happy with the way the car looks, but you wanna make it pop a little bit, polish is all you're gonna need. So just have a really good idea of what you want your end result to be before you start the whole process. But we have some options here, guys. We have Mirror Glaze from Meguiars. They're compound and polish M110 and M210. These are my favorite options when I'm doing corrections and anything else. I really like those products. But to be perfectly honest with you, I've used other ones, but I don't know why I like these ones so much more. Obviously, they work super well for me, and I like the way they finish out and all that kind of stuff. But we're gonna kind of compare these to a couple other ones today. So I was at my local Walmart, and they had these guys, the Chemical Guys options, P4 and C4. They're compound and polish. Now, I've used some of the Chemical Guys lines of polishes in the past when they used to have it as V1, V2, V3, V4. And they weren't my favorite. They got the job done, but definitely weren't my favorite. So I'm excited to test these out and see how they work. And then finally, we also have some really basic stuff, again, from Walmart, and that's the Turtle Wax rubbing compound and polishing compound. Now, another reason that I think this subject is a little bit confusing for people is because of branding like this from Turtle Wax, where it says polishing compound. It's like, well, do I compound or do I polish? This one says polish and compound in it. But basically, compound is just the structure of it, and they're talking about a polish here. Now, for a lot of corrections or when you're doing paint enhancements, a lot of times you're doing a two-step process. You're doing a compound, then a polish. Or if there's not a lot of heavier defects, you can go straight to that polish. However, within that, there are some really cool options like 3D1, which is a compound, but it's a diminishing compound, meaning that the abrasives within the compound break down, smooth out essentially, and kind of turn into a polish. So you can kind of do everything in one step. Additionally, 3D Speed. This is a polish with a glaze, which will fill some imperfections and protect it all in one. So the 3D one is a fantastic product. I love that stuff. 3D Speed, I absolutely love. But when I'm doing a full-blown correction, I still do typically like to go with a two-step process. 3D one is a great compound and polish in one, but it doesn't have the correcting ability quite as much as a traditional compound will. So I have a panel set up over here. I'm gonna go ahead and abrade the surface of it. I'm gonna create some marring and all that kind of stuff. Then we're gonna take each of these products, not the 3D Speed, but the other three. We have the Meguiars, the Chemical Guys, and the Turtle Wax. So we're gonna do one section for each of these brands. One section will just be polish, and then one section will be compound and polish, so you guys can see the difference on what you wanna do. Okay guys, so here is my panel. Right now it's dirty, it's dusty, but that's great because we wanna make this thing scratched up, right? So I'm just gonna take a boar's hair brush here, upholstery brush, and I'm just gonna scratch the whole surface with it. Okay, so we're good to go there. So now that we went ahead and scratched this up, we're going to take just a wet microfiber cloth. I'm just gonna wipe the panel down. Again, I'm not worried about doing anything to this panel. Any more marring or anything that I introduce into this panel is just gonna make it that much better for us to correct, showing you the difference between the compound and the polish. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and take my handheld scan grip here. I'm gonna use my phone to record this so you guys can actually see up close what the paint's looking like. All right guys, so as you can see, even without the light on it, you can see all the scratching throughout the whole panel here. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the light on it. And now you can really see all that scratching, all that marring throughout the whole panel. It's a big old hologram right there. And that's typically from a rotary polisher. Basically what it does is it creates kind of inconsistencies in the clear coat and then gives you that kind of holographic effect. So as you can see, the whole panel is messed up. Okay, and so now I'm gonna tape this off into actually 6 different sections. So we'll have 3 sections for each of the brands, right? Meguiars, Chemical Guys, Turtle Wax, and then we'll have 2 sections within each brand. Again, one side just polish, the other side compound and polish. Okay, so this side is going to be, whoops, that broke, Turtle Wax. This side is going to be Chemical Guys, and this side will be the Meguiars. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about the pads that we need. I'm gonna keep this very, very simple. You can obviously do different combinations of these, but to keep everything very, very simple, we're gonna use one pad for compound, one pad for polish. Now these pads are the Udos pads from Lake Country Manufacturing. I like these a lot, but I'm gonna recommend to you guys just to go with the Rupes pads. They're really easy to get. I'll have them linked down in the description for you. The blue one is going to be your compounding pad. The yellow one is going to be your polishing pad. Very, very simple and easy to remember. And what that means is for the compound, we're gonna use the compounding pad. For the polishing, we're gonna use the polishing pad. Now again, guys, you can mix these up and you could go polishing pad with the compound on it. That way you get a little bit more aggressive than just the polish with the polishing pad. But that I'll leave up to you guys so you can really figure out exactly what you need. Here, we're just gonna try and keep this very, very simple and very clean cut. If you guys want me to do a video where I actually get a paint gauge and gauge each depth and see how much a compound's actually taking it down, let me know in the description. Just comment down below and say, yeah, you do want to see that. I don't have a paint gauge with me here, so I'm not gonna do that today, but if that interests you, let me know. Now the polish I'm going to be using today is just a basic, really, really great option as an entry-level polisher. This is the MaxShine M8S version 2. It's a fantastic little polisher. Now, I typically use a 15mm throw. This guy is an 8mm throw. That just means the offset of the pad of how far it moves is 8mm from side to side. 15mm, you'll correct a little bit faster. Then you can even go to 21mm and increase your correction time. But with those, they kind of bog down on sides. So this is just a great all-around option. The 15 is my favorite for all-around. But this is a fantastic entry-level polisher. Again, I have a deal with MaxShine where if you go onto their site and you use my code IMJOSHV15, you'll get 15% off anything on the site. Now, whenever you're working on a car with a polisher, you wanna make sure that the pad is centered on the back so you have the same distance around so it's not offset and working weird because it'll throw off the balance. You just wanna make sure you line that up well. And then keep the cord over your shoulder so that it's not dropping down onto the paint. So for the first step, guys, I'm gonna take my compounding pad and Meguiars M110, which is the compound. I'm gonna work this front section here with Meguiars, then we'll switch pads to another compounding pad, but then switch the chemical to the Chemical Guys compound, work that section, and then finally finish out with the Turtle Wax. Then we'll switch over to the polishing pad and we'll work a blank section and then also the section that was compounded so you can really see the difference of what you're able to achieve. Okay guys, so here I go. I'm gonna go ahead and take, again, my compounding pad. I'm gonna take some of the Meguiars M110 and I'm just gonna add a couple of drops. Now, a lot of times you'll hear people talk about priming the pad, and that's basically just kind of saturating the pad before you get started. Sometimes I'll do that, sometimes I don't. Really, this is all I'm gonna need. That's a lot of product there. So I'll just dab this onto the section and then I'll be able to turn it on, spread it out a little bit, turn the speed up and get to work. Okay guys, I'm gonna take you back in close here so you can really see exactly how these things are finishing out. So the Meguiars, as you can see, all the little micro marring, but it's nice and consistent throughout. Chemical Guys, micro marring everywhere, pretty consistent throughout. A little bit deeper of a scratch and not as much haze to me. And then the Turtle Wax, tons of haze, but a nice consistent finish as well, but definitely hazier than the other two. Okay, so now that we have the compounding done, I'm gonna switch over to the polish. Again, I'm gonna go polish straight to this panel here, the one in the back, that has no compound on it, so that we can see what the result is from just polishing. Then I'll go ahead and go over to the compound side, polish that as well, and then you'll see the difference between the two. We're gonna do that for all three of these products. Now I have 3 different pads that I'll be using so we don't cross-contaminate again, and here we go. Okay guys, so I went ahead, I got everything all done. I compounded these sections up top, then polished these sections and the compounded sections to get it all done. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the tape and then we can inspect it. Okay guys, so here we are going in close. I'm gonna go ahead and set the recording. As you can see in the middle here, here's my control panel, right? This is where the tape was, so you can see all the scratches running through there. We're gonna go to the Meguiar side that was just polish, and here we are for that. Now you can still see a little bit of scratching in there, some light hazing and stuff from the buffer, so I'd wanna finish this out still. But you know, this paint is pretty soft on this door panel. Again, this thing was just pulled from a body shop. Paint was hammered, the paint's pretty soft, so a little bit of hazing there. But when we go over to the compounded and polished side, as you can see, we're looking pretty darn near perfect. Obviously these little chips and everything like that weren't gonna go anywhere. But as far as the paint clarity goes, it looks really, really good. So again, compound and polish, control panel, just polish. Now we're gonna move on to the Meguiars product, and I did not like this at all. It worked out really weird. I would put it down and it looked kind of wet and it would flash out like it was drying out pretty quickly. And I'm assuming that's why we got this result, because it was too dry. It wasn't holding any moisture in it so I could spread it around. And if you look close, you can see there's my control panel and you can already see both sides, how hazy it is. It's a lighter color than the control panel was. So just polish, you can still see scratches in there going across and tons of hazing. Control panel and then compound side. The scratches are gone, but way too much hazing. That is unacceptable. Now again, that just may be the way I use the product. I'm used to using that in Meguiars, has a long work time. I'm able to get a really, really good finish and work with it very easily. Maybe the chemical guy stuff, you're not supposed to work that long. I don't know. I'm sure the product works great for some people. I'm sure, you know, if you're used to using it, it probably works fantastic. Just for me and how I'm used to polishing, not good. And finally, now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the turtle wax side. Again, control panel, just polish. Looking really good. I mean, it definitely looks a lot better. Most of those scratches are gone. This one was in a weird kind of a corner, so it's hard to get it. But there's the control panel again, and as you can see, scratches are gone. Still, the clarity is not perfect at all. Some of that deeper stuff did not come out. And then we'll go over to the compound and polish side, and much better. Again, better clarity. Again, still not perfect because the panel is just hammered, but much better. So again, we'll go turtle wax, control panel, chemical guys, control panel, and Meguiars. Now guys, I'm really quickly gonna work with that chemical guys product again. There's no excuse for how that came out, and I'm sure it's something that I'm doing wrong. So I'm gonna play with it a little bit, try and get this cleared up, and then I'll let you know what I did. Okay, so I went over it a couple more times. Went fast, went slow, tried a couple different things. As you can see, I'm gonna show you a little video here of this is what I'm talking about, kind of the flashing out. So hopefully you can kind of see it here, but as you can see, it goes on wet and then just it goes dry looking. So again, I tried a couple different things on the panel. I can't get it to finish out well. I don't know if it's the panel being soft, but the other compound and polishes worked on it really well. Again, if you have any experience with that Chemical Guys product, let me know, because like I said, guys, I feel like I always kind of talk negatively about Chemical Guys, and I don't mean to at all. There's plenty of products from them that I really like. In the past though, I didn't like their polishes that much, and this seems to be a continuation of that. But again, if you have some recommendations on how to finish this out, I'm assuming if I go to a softer pad, maybe I can blend it out and make it nicer, but it's too much work for my personal opinion. The Meguiars and the Turtle Wax finished out really nicely. The Meguiars was the easiest to work with. The Turtle Wax finished out nice. I like the way it performed. It's just, it was a lot to wipe it up because there's a lot of moisture in it, but that's probably why it worked out so well. The Chemical Guys just seems to dry out too fast, and then we're just digging in kind of dry compound and polish. So, okay, so compound or polish, you decide, but again, you can see the difference between a compounded and polished side versus just a polished side. You're not gonna get all that crazy stuff out. The deeper scratching and all that kind of stuff, it's not gonna pull it out. You're gonna need to go to a compound to level all that stuff out, and then go to the polish to make it all pop again. So that's it, guys. I hope that video helps you. Please make sure to like the video, make sure you subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and we'll see you on the next one.